welcome to the Men's Pocket Guide podcast with me, Rob.
And me, Rich. How you doing, Rob?
I'm great, mate. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks. It's just a little bit strange doing this from a distance this time.
We are more than maintaining our social distancing, mate. That is absolutely clear.
Yeah. We're in different cities, so
we're
doing pretty well. Boris would be happy.
The recommendation is 6 foot. I think we're about 10 miles, so we've definitely managed to uphold the guidelines.
That's cool. So how are you doing?
I'm great. It's a strange time, isn't it? It's weird being on lockdown.
It's a crazy season.
But you got to make the most of it, though, right?
That's right. You gotta keep on top of things. It's just crazy. Hard to explain, but I think this season we'll be talking about in the future. You know, if you remember the times when you used to have to queue up outside for Asda and so forth and so forth. It's just crazy. But we got to kind of get through this together. So we'll just try our best, won't we?
Yeah, we will, and that's the thing, isn't it? We've always got to try and look to what we can make the most out of any season. The more that we sit and wallow in our own, I don't know, all the negative things going on, I think the worse it's going to be. But the more we can kind of focus on the positive and try and work what that is, we've got a chance.
That's right. Yeah, sure thing.
Now, I know you've got a message that you wanted to roll out to start with, mate, so you go for that.
Oh, yeah, for real. Yeah, it's just a shout out to all the key workers out there. I mean, because this time it's like we've said, it's a tricky, it's a strange season, but we've got people in our country who are just going out there on the front line, facing danger every single day and putting their own lives on the line. We just want to kind of big them up and just give them a round of applause, you know, just to say thank you
big
so
time.
much.
It's so good,
all the key workers out there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah. Thank you to everyone who's just putting their own health and lives on the line to save others. So thank you for that. You're amazing people. You're our heroes.
Yeah, you are, certainly.
So rolling in today's podcast, although yes, I suppose we could kind of say this is in light of the kind of COVID-19 sort of pandemic at the moment, but I think it still represents hopefully a message of what we can do when the times are inconsistent, what consistency we can bring to inconsistent times. And that's kind of like our title of it today, consistency within the inconsistent. And that just basically means, you know, life does have a habit of just throwing up, just unexpected illnesses sometimes. This is a big one. But that doesn't change the fact that, you know, like I said, you know, there's a pattern in life sometimes of the way it goes, and the way, I think the best way that we move through it, the best way to stay mentally healthy, the best way to stay productive, the best way to maintain healthy relationships is trying to create some consistency in and amongst all this inconsistency.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. It's because I think we're all being kind of knocked off the norm. Yeah, knocked off our stride a little bit, and it's kind of difficult to kind of find that groove again, you know. So I think we got to look for those things that we can make consistent within this tricky season. So I'm loving that. Yeah.
We'll get into that in a minute, but we wanted just to start off with just a little bit of fun to start with. Hopefully something will make you smile. So I'm going to just throw 3 questions at you, and you are answering, Rich, on behalf of all men out there. I'm hoping that my thought process in creating these questions is along the same lines as many men would think, but it could just be me. It might just be the weird and wonderful world of Rob. Now. Okay, so question number one. What is the best alternative to toilet roll, Rich?
Okay, that's a good question. I remember when we first hit lockdown and there was a lack of toilet paper, so we had 2 backup plans. The first backup plan was kitchen roll, because we've got quite a bit of kitchen roll at home. Okay. So we thought, not quite as soft, but it's still there. You know, it can still do the job.
I can see that.
You can see that. You can see how that would work. And then I think plan C was really kind of rush to the bath, get the flannel out, and just get yourself clean. You know what I mean? So it's quite difficult in my house because the toilet's separate.
Was that going to be a communal flannel, or were you going to have your own individual ones in your house?
Well, in this season where we're kind of trying to, not to spread germs and things, I think we'd go for individual flannels.
Yeah. Oh, thank goodness for that. Praise Jesus.
Yeah.
Okay, great answer. I can see that you've thought that one through. Well done to you. Okay, second question. How many days can you go just wearing your underpants around the house? Now, I want to pose this in two different ways because you're a family man. Before, in your instance, your wife having a go at you, or in a single person's instance, before it gets a little bit awkward over a Zoom meeting.
I think in my household, I think my wife wouldn't actually be bothered. She'd give me some looks, but she wouldn't really be that bothered. So
okay, fair play.
I would probably be able to go a few days. I might have to change the underpants, but I'd be able to go a few days in my underpants. However, my daughter, on the other hand, would not be having it at all. At all. So it'll be straight away, Dad, change them now. So
fair enough.
Bear in mind, she gets up quite late, so I'd say about 3 hours.
Okay, fair enough.
Total freedom, yeah.
Do we feel that it would be a sackable offence if we turned up to a Zoom meeting in just our underpants?
Well, I don't think so. You just need to be very careful where the camera's pointing, I guess.
Yeah, so, I mean, in all fairness, the camera should probably just be pointing at your face anyway, but yeah, valid point. Yeah. Valid point. Okay, third and final question. Are we likely to see a revival of pasta art in the modern art world once we get over this time period?
That is so funny. That's such an apt question because we had a delivery that we ordered it about 3 weeks ago. So it was, I think, right at the beginning of lockdown. And delivery, the waiting period for deliveries was 3 weeks. So we ordered plenty of pasta, plenty of toilet roll, plenty of all these things that we thought we'd run out of. So tonight, the delivery guy turned up with, I think, 4 bags of 1 kilogram bags of pasta. So I am going to be decorating with pasta, I think.
Wow, come on now.
At the end.
I can't believe you're hoarding. Selfish.
Yeah, don't tell anyone.
Okay, great. Right, okay, so let's get to the meat then, shall we? Okay,
let's do it.
Like we said, we've titled this podcast Consistent in the Inconsistent. And the reason why we've kind of highlighted it like this is because we feel that in and amongst all the problems and everything that's going on right now, like we are talking about people who've lost their job. We are talking about people who have lost loved ones, who have got people with ill health, who are worried. It's a scary time. And the best way we can move through that is trying to bring as much consistency in all the inconsistency that's just going on right now. Not being able to attend our jobs. Some of us losing our jobs, other of us having, people in hospital and we can't visit. There's so much inconsistency right now in the world and the way it is. But if we can stay as much consistent within that, hopefully, like I said, we've got a better chance in terms of our mental health, in terms of our productivity, and in terms of maintaining great relationships.
Sure.
So there's going to be some sound bites, so we're just going to go and move really quickly through this, right? Just really quick, fast points. Maybe one question per point, but ultimately we're just going to fly through this, and if we need to kind of elaborate in future episodes, we can do that, right?
Yeah, no problem. That sounds good to me.
Cool. So I'm going to start off with the first one. The first one for me, consistent within the inconsistent, is to do with our thoughts and our feelings. Because in a normal, average day, we have an emotional state which we have learned to manage. Within the stress and pressure of our jobs, we've learned to hopefully manage an emotional, stable state. Within our households and our relationships, an emotional, stable state. And what this inconsistency brings is inconsistency in that emotionally stable state. So how do we manage that? How do we stay consistent within our emotions? Well, the best way to do it, I feel, is that you've got to allow yourself to feel. In other words, don't deny your emotions. As guys, we're amazing and we're great at suppressing emotions. But ultimately, if we're going to move through this healthily, if we're going to stay great mentally and in shape that way, if we're going to maintain those great relationships, what we've got to be able to do is allow ourselves to feel. So if this period of time brings about thoughts of worry and concern, allow yourself to express that. Don't try and suppress it. Don't try and deny yourself it. Don't try and block it off and pretend it's not real because it's uncomfortable. No one likes to feel like that. No one likes to feel sad. No one likes to feel down. But we can't afford to let ourselves or deny ourselves feeling what our bodies are naturally trying to live out. Okay?
Yeah, that's good. That's
now,
really good.
What I'm saying with that is that you got to let yourself live through it and express it. So, like, allow yourself to feel the emotion, and then once you've done that, then give it off, get rid of it, and I suppose, like, there's different ways you can do that, like, if you're a person of faith, pray, and just let go of it that way. Meditate over it if you're not a person of faith. If you love exercise, go out and exercise. One really great tip that I had from a time when I was in counselling, because this was one thing that I really struggled with, was kind of dealing with my emotions, was I was told to go out for a run. To deal with all the things that I was feeling, but I hate running. And my counsellor was like, that's great, because you are now expressing all your frustration in an activity that you don't really enjoy. So then running became my thing. Eventually I love running, but to start with, it was a great way just to then get rid of the emotions that I'd felt, dealt with, and then lifted them off healthily. Now when we say about kind of those emotions as well, don't wallow in them. Okay, so allow yourself to feel them, but don't then just go and sit in them and allow them to spiral out of control. Don't let that then dominate your thinking and your being. Get rid of it. Don't wallow in it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And that goes back to us as guys being guys. It's the norm. It's the accepted thing that we guys keep everything inside. But we've got to let it out. We've got to, and like you said, in whatever way you do it best, do it. It's so important, so important. So that's really good advice, that. So accept it, but don't stay in it, don't wallow in it. Don't sit in it. I was gonna move on to accept that this time is going to be challenging. Yeah, it is going to be challenging. It's challenging for everyone. On top of like health issues and job insecurities and financial insecurities and the lack of social connections that we've got now, we've got to understand it's going to be hard. And if you're a social media buff, I think more of us are nowadays. It's you look and you think everybody is having an excellent life, everybody's doing so well, everybody's so happy, everybody's coping so well, but they're all the snapshots, aren't they? It's not like a real life situation what we see on social media all the time. No. So I mean, I want to look at relationships, and I'll start off with if you live with a partner or your family. It's so important. It's a tricky time because you are locked down 24 hours of the day. Yeah, you're used to going out to work or doing whatever you normally do, having your own space. But now you're thrown together, and it's tough. It's really hard because you've got different personalities within the same small living space, and you have to cope. You have to get on with it. So, I mean, one of the things that I think is really important is we got to kind of check in with our partners and our kids on a daily basis. Check how we are doing, and we talk about how we're doing as well, because we all deal with things in different ways. I mean, some of us might want to watch the news all day and just get all the details and know exactly what's happening. Others might not want to do that, and that might cause anxiety and fear listening to news all day. So we've got to kind of check out how each and every one of us is doing in the house, and that will help to kind of build up relationships. It will help us as men as well to be able to talk, practices, teach us to talk out things more as well. I think also having routines throughout the day. Yeah. Certain times you do certain things. It's great going to sleep at the same time, waking up at the same time, just having certain things. It breaks up that monotony. So so and that improves us. It breaks up the day. It improves our mental state, and it helps us to get through. It's so important when you're locked down with your family. Oh my gosh, there will be times when we'll have to social distance within the house.
Yeah,
we all need our space sometimes, and that's fine.
Yeah,
but we just need to check in and talk. Try and talk as much as you can. That's so important.
Yeah, that's good, mate. That's really, really good. Because we can sometimes forget about that, right? We can sometimes forget that actually we need to check the well-being of everyone who's closest to us. Sometimes we kind of get concerned with our community, but actually our closest ones sometimes we forget to do.
Yeah, we do. And when you do that, the other one, whether it's a spouse or the partner or the kids, they feel supported because they feel like, they're interested. They want to know how I'm feeling. That's really good. It's really healthy. It's really healthy.
That's good, mate. That's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, my second point, so this is point number 2 from me, is purpose. Consistency in maintaining your purpose, because there's a real hit of inconsistency on our purpose at the moment, and I think everyone's going to be factored into this somehow, because whether most people are having to work remotely, that's our purpose looks a little bit different in the jobs that we're doing right now. Whether sadly for those people who've lost their jobs, that's a big hit on what actually our purpose is. When we lose our job, that's kind of a big part of what makes us, and having that taken away kind of can have a hit on what our purpose actually is. In the same way, not being able to socialize, do our hobbies as we do them, express ourselves in the way we like to express ourselves individually, again is a hit on our purpose. So how do we bring consistency within that inconsistency? Well, the first thing that I wanted to talk about was, let's talk about the people who are still maintaining and doing their jobs at the moment, fortunate and blessed enough to still be working and being paid for it. Don't get lazy. It is the easiest thing right now, because your boss isn't maybe over your shoulder, to kind of slacken off and let go a little bit. And the problem is, as soon as you start getting into that spiral, then it gets very, very hard to move out of it again. My advice on this one is maintain as much of a good, consistent work pace as you can. It's a nice time maybe just to kind of just alleviate some of the stress and the pressure which has maybe been on people in their jobs. But at the same time, it's important that you still maintain your consistent purpose in what you do in everyday life. Now, for some people might be listening to this and saying, but I've just lost my job. What am I supposed to do? Don't lose your purpose in who you are and what you do. And what I mean by that is that, okay, if you've lost your job, jobs are going to come back on the horizon again when this time period ends. So start to upskill yourself. Watch YouTube videos, read, learn, do something which is so when the time comes when all this lockdown is ended and all this time period is over and jobs come back on the horizon, you are more ready. You're a better version of your work self than you were previous. Get creative, create and generate ideas for your business, start socializing and linking with people. There's so many things that you can do, even in a time period where you've lost your job, to prepare yourself ready to pick up where you left off. So, don't let yourself go. Don't wallow in the fact of, I don't know what I am anymore. Get going with it. If it's a different direction you want to take in life, start preparing for that. Go for it, generate ideas, start doing, don't let go, don't give up. Because that purpose within inside of you, it's important you continue to express it. So be consistent in your purpose, even in the inconsistency of what's going on right now.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, losing your job is, as men, we see ourselves as the providers, don't we? We see ourselves as the doers, and that can take a big hit on you personally. But I agree with you, Rob. Okay, try and deal with that, but don't sit down and wallow in it. Get up and do something. Right. Because, like I said, Rob, there are going to be jobs on the horizon. There are going to be opportunities in the future. And now's a really great time to kind of just reach out and maybe look at the direction you've been going in. Maybe there's a different direction you want to go in. Even going out there and volunteering at the moment, because there's so many things that we can do to support society, support the vulnerable in the communities as well. So just get out there, keep busy. It's so important to keep busy and keep doing. Because if you get trapped in that situation where you just sit down and feeling sorry for ourselves, it's hard to get out there once you're in there for a long time. So I agree with you, Rob. We need to get up and get out.
I think the most encouraging way I can kind of say this is when there's a hole created in your life, that means that there's a space to fill. Fill the space.
That's right. That's good.
Fill the space.
Yeah.
You know, there's an empty hole there. Then fill it. Do something to fill it.
That's really good. So my second point, again, it's still on relationships. Is really for those of us who are who live alone, or don't have a partner or children, and just to. It can be a lonely period. It can be a lonely time, and
sure.
Some of us really like our own company, and that's great. But I think we are built to communicate. We are built to make connections, and I think it's so important that we touch base with our wider families, touch base with friends that we may not have spoken to for a while. There's video calling, there's texting, there's so many ways that we can communicate, and I think it's really important that we do that. It strengthens connections. I've connected with family that I haven't spoken to for a while. I was talking to somebody one of my cousins in Jamaica a couple of days ago, and it's just it's sad that it takes this situation to happen for us to communicate, but I'm so glad that we are doing that, because it's just made me think of things that we used to do years ago, and it's just gives you have a laugh. You just forget about the situation you're in,
sure,
and you're just sharing it, and it's building you up. And the same with friends. I've connected with old friends, and just chatting and having a laugh. It's so useful. It's really good. So I really advise that we just kind of check in with somebody at some point every day, even if it's one friend that you've got that you can be accountable to.
Yeah.
Just to say, yo, I'm struggling here, or yo, this is how I'm feeling. Do that on a regular basis. The chats don't have to all be deep and meaningful, but just to communicate and to chat and connect is so important in these times.
Yeah, I mean, even the most introvert of us, we're still part of communities. You know, whether it would be very, very difficult to go a day without communicating, socializing, speaking with someone, right, in anyone's world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that real kind of consistency to try and maintain, even in a time where doing community is quite difficult. Yeah,
absolutely. And the doing community was going to be my third point. I'm going to jump in here now, Rob.
You go for it.
So so doing community is also something that's so good. I've been living in my neighbourhood for almost 20 years. And over the last 2 weeks, I've spoken more to my neighbours than I've done in those previous 20 years. It's just been so good. And at this time, you find that people are really open to conversations. Because, you know, when Britain gets into there's a crisis, we all kind of pull together, you know, and people just willing to talk. And you're walking past on your daily walks, whatever. You're walking past people, you just say, hi, how you doing? And then you just stand and chat. And it's so good to kind of get involved in the community. And I've got to know quite a few of my neighbours around, and it just feels good that, hey, we're a team here, we're working together on this, you know. And then, again, like I said before, going out, and I went to my local Asda, did a bit of volunteering there, just helping out. And it's just great for others, but also for yourself. Doing that, because you find yourself making these connections, feeling better about yourself. It breaks up the day, and it makes the days go quicker, and it just takes your mind off of you so much and puts it on other things, and it's all helps us to cope with what we're going through at the moment, which is a tough time. Yeah,
that's really great, because it makes you realise that community isn't a place, it's people.
Yeah, and just with my 3 points, it's all about that connection with people, with those that you live with wider family, with friends, and the community you're in. Just having a chat makes a big difference. So I'd say just go for it, even if you're not sure what to say. Well, we've all got one subject we can talk about, the virus. Let's start on that and then move on from there, you know. And it's so easy. It's honestly it's the easiest time to be chatting to people who we don't even know.
Sure. Yeah, that's great, mate. That's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, my third and final point is all about change within this time, and I'll explain that is because I think many of us have kind of gotten to this idea of exercising and actually trying to pick up a healthier way of living. And what we tend to do in this time is we tend to throw ourselves at it and go for it all in one go. And actually what we're trying to do is, at this time particularly, is reduce those feelings of failure. Now, generally, if you try and do this big change within your own healthy sort of lifestyle and exercise and all that type of stuff, that generally is a method which doesn't work out. Okay, there might be some people who who manage to do it, who've got great discipline, but generally the normal day-to-day people will find it very, very difficult to keep them maintain this whole new lifestyle that they're trying to introduce in their lives. So, trying to do going from no exercise to 30-minute runs every day, or quite unhealthy eating habits to trying to cut out every single snack and treat and trying to reduce their calorie count to almost zero. That isn't the way to do it. Now, there's a few terms for this which I've heard kind of thrown around. Marginal gains is one. I've heard it used as the compound effect. Kaizen, I think, is the word they use in Japan. Although I might have said something offensive in Japanese right now, I'm not too sure. Please forgive me if I have. But basically what that method is small change bit by bit. So, for example, I used to run a lot, like I kind of mentioned earlier. I kind of sloped off that over the last few months, but now I've picked it back up again. Now, what I've decided to do is introduce a 20-minute run with no particular goal other than I'm just grateful and glad that I am outside right now and I'm giving this a go. So for 20 minutes, I'm just going to maintain a slow, consistent run. Whatever distance I cover, doesn't really matter, as long as for 20 minutes I'm running and I'm exercising. Now, I've been able to maintain that, and I've been able to maintain my motivation for that now for about 2.5 weeks. So now I've decided to step it up by 5 minutes and go to 25 instead. It'd be the easiest thing in the world to try and cut out every treat. But actually, if I can just maybe reduce my calorie count over lunchtime, or I can pick a healthier breakfast, let me just start there. Because that is far more likely to maintain your motivation. It's far more likely to bring about feelings and thoughts of success, rather than necessarily feelings and thoughts of I've failed because actually I haven't maintained it. And, particularly during this time, that's really, really important. We want to maintain a positive frame of mind. So, be consistent in just these small changes over time, rather than trying to go for everything at once. It's too big a change, and it can have... So that's kind of like my advice with that. Try and cultivate success by just taking things slow, bit by bit. Don't feel the pressure of what everyone else is doing, what everyone's posting on their Insta account, and whatever they're saying they're doing. You just focus on you and just the small little changes, small little gains, and day by day, you'll see the impact of that, and it'll be great.
That's so good. That's so good. I mean, I can agree with that one. I started a new fitness regime, and I was a little bit above myself. I thought, right, I'm going to do these 45-minute sessions every day. On a morning, I'm going to get up early, do 45-minute sessions. That lasted for maybe a whole 2 days. I was like, oh man, I can't do this, it's too long.
Sure.
So I scrapped it all together, and I'm just doing like 50-minute sessions. And that's working much better. I can be more consistent in that, because I'm not thinking, oh man, that's too much, that's a big chunk. You just need small, measurable tasks that are winnable to keep it going. Yeah, so let's not try and grab everything at once, like you said, just bit by bit, a jigsaw. Yeah, so that's good advice.
That's great, mate. That's really good. So, hopefully you found this podcast useful. Like I said, try and stay safe during these times. Mentally healthy is super important. Keep talking. If you have or want further insight into that, listen to our first podcast. That'll hopefully give you some tips. But there are so many organizations and charities at the moment that are out there to help you. Take advantage of them. Every Mind Matters, the Salvation Army, all those Good Samaritans, all those charities are out there looking out for people, trying to do their best. So if you need them, use them. Don't be afraid, don't be proud. Use them if you need them.
Yeah, and don't isolate yourself. Just connect with somebody if you can. It's so important, guys. So thanks again. Like Rob says, thanks for listening. It's been awesome, and we will get through this. We will.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we'll see you on the other side, guys.
Yep. All right then, guys. You take care.
Take care. Bye.